That could be tricky.
それはちょっと難しいかも。
Look, I know that could be tricky.
This could be a tricky sell.
Let's try it this way.
このやり方でやってみよう。
Let's try it this way.
Okay, let's try it this way. Okay, let's try it this way.
Let's just move on.
次に行こう。
Let's just move on. Let's just move on.
Okay, let's just move on.
Let's just move on.
That's not quite right.
それはちょっと違うかな。
That's not quite right.
Not quite right.
Not quite right.
Let's give it a go.
やってみよう。
Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go.
Go.
Let's give it a go.
That's hard to ignore.
無視できないね。
Very hard to ignore.
Kind of hard to ignore.
I'm pretty hard to ignore.
That could be an issue.
それが問題かもね。
Suppose that could be an issue.
Yeah, this could be an issue.
Yeah, I can see how that could be an issue.
Let's fix it right away.
すぐに直そう。
And fix it right away.
Okay, well, we'll fix it right away.
Let's fix it.
Let's keep this short.
手短にしよ
I'll keep this short.
No need. I'll keep this short. Sorry, I gotta keep this short.
Let's not worry too much.
う。あまり気にしすぎないように。
Oh, let's not worry too much about that.
You worry too much.
You worry too much.
That sounds about right.
そんな感じだね。
That sounds about right.
Yep, that sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
Let's take a quick look.
ちょっと見てみよ
Take a quick look at this, Tiggy.
I'll just take a quick look.
Okay, we'll take a quick look.
That's not worth the time.
う。時間の無駄かもね。
Not worth your time.
It's not worth the time.
It's not worth your time.
Let's not mess this up.
失敗しないようにしよ
Everyone else, let's not mess this up. Do not mess this up.
We're not messing this up.
That should be fine.
う。それで大丈夫なはず。
It should be fine, just fine.
Okay, well, that should be fine. We should be fine. That should be fine medically.
Let's clean it up later.
後で片付けよ
It up later. I'm just saying.
Things up later. No.
Yeah, I'll clean it up later.
Let's take a different path.
う。別の道を選ぼう。
Take a different path.
Then take a different path, dummy.
For each other, their lives just take different paths.
That might cause trouble.
問題になりそうだね。
Expression that means don't do anything that might cause trouble.
Causing trouble.
Some ex-head of the FBI that might cause trouble.
That's a bit confusing.
ちょっとややこしいね。
A bit confused.
It's a bit confusing.
Not a bit confusingly.
Let's go one step further.
もう一歩踏み込もう。
May go one step further. And in fact, I'll go one step further.
He went one step further.
Let's take this offline.
この話は後でしよう。
You take us offline. Get him offline!
That sounds kind of odd.
ちょっと変に聞こえるね。
It sounds kind of square. Sounds kind of whack.
That sounds kind of nice.
That sounds kind of cool.
That's not worth it.
そこまでの価値はないね。
That was not worth it. It's
Oh, no, that's not worth it. It is worth it.
not worth it.
That could go either way.
どっちにも転びそうだね。
Go either way.
Could go either way.
Could go either way.
That's a bit of a reach.
ちょっとこじつけっぽいね。
Oh, that's a bit of a reach.
It's a bit of a reach.
It's a bit of a reach, don't you think, Dave?
That came out all wrong.
完全に言い間違えた。
That came out all wrong.
That came out wrong. That came out very wrong.
Okay, that came out all wrong.
Let's not push too hard.
無理しないようにしよ
I pushed too hard.
Let's not push him too hard. That van's a rolling bomb.
You push her too hard.
Let's keep it flexible.
う。柔軟にしておこう。
Flexible.
Let's keep it.
Let's keep it.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
決めつけないように。
Let's not jump to conclusions.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
That doesn't feel right.
なんかしっくりこない。
It doesn't feel right.
That doesn't feel right.
That doesn't feel right either.
Let's move past that.
その話はもうやめよ
Let's move past that.
So let's move past it.
Why?
But that works.
Okay, let's move.
That might be too much.
う。ちょっとやりすぎかも。
That might be too much information.
Oh, I don't know. That might be too much.
No, it's just that might be too much.
Let's keep it between us.
これは内緒にしておこ
Let's keep it between us.
Let's keep it between us.
Let's keep this between us.
That's not what I expected.
う。思ってたのと違ったね。
That's not what I expected.
It's not what I expected when you...
That's not what I was expecting.
That's not really fair.
それはちょっと不公平かも。
Brian, that's not fair.
That's not really fair. Hey, that's not really fair.
Let's not dwell on it.
引きずらないようにしよ
Let's not dwell on it.
Really?
Yeah, but let's not dwell on it.
Let's not dwell on horrid things.
Let's call it even.
う。チャラにしよ
Let's call it even.
Let's call it even. Last week, so let's call it even.
That's not how it works.
う。そういう仕組みじゃないよ。
That's not how it works. Forget how it works. That's not how it works.
It's not how it works.
That wasn't the plan.
それは予定と違うよ。
That wasn't the plan.
That wasn't the plan.
Wasn't the plan.
That's not a bad idea.
悪くない考えだね。
That's not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, right? It's not a bad idea.
Let's keep it simple.
シンプルに行こ
Let's keep it simple.
Let's keep it simple.
So let's keep it simple.
Let's not overthink this.
う。考えすぎないようにしよ
Let's not overthink this.
Let's not overthink this opportunity.
Let's not overthink it.
That's easier said than done.
言うは安く行うは難しだね。
Easier said than done, ladybug.
That's easier said than done.
That's easier said than done.
That's not going to fly.
それじゃ通用しないよ。
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly with Sherlock here.
Africa. That ain't gonna fly. Rico.
That's kind of the point.
それが言いたいことだよ。
It's kind of the point.
It's kind of the point. It's kind of the point.
Let's wrap it up here.
ここで終わりにしよう。
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
Let's not make it worse.
これ以上悪くしないように。
Well, let's not make it worse.
Let's not make it worse. Come on.
Worse?
That might be too late.
もう遅いかもしれない。
It might be too late.
Might be too late.
Too late, huh?
Giving them that shot yet? It might be.
Let's keep expectations low.
期待は控えめにしよ
Keep your expectations low.
And keep expectations low.
That whole line about keeping expectations low.
That's not what I meant.
う。そういう意味じゃないよ。
Not what I meant.
And that's not what I meant. I meant metaphorically.
That's not what I meant.
Let's not start a fight.
喧嘩はやめよう。
Let's not start a fight with a monkey.
Let's try to stay calm.
落ち着いていよう。
Try to stay calm. I think you're making a big mistake.
Try to stay calm.
Try to stay calm.
That's up to interpretation.
それは解釈次第だね。
Open to interpretation.
Toilets. Want interpretation?
Interpretation.
Yes.
That didn't help much.
あまり役に立たなかったね。
Didn't help much.
Well, that didn't help.
It didn't help much.
That sounds kind of harsh.
ちょっときつい言い方だね。
Kind of harsh. Seems kind of harsh. I know.
It's kind of, harsh.
Let's meet in the middle.
間を取ろ
Middle. Roger that.
Meet in the middle.
Let's take a breather.
う。一息つこ
Okay, let's take a break.
Let's take a breather, Dottie.
A breather.
That's a fair point.
う。それはもっともだね。
That's a fair point.
It's a fair point.
That's a fair point.
That's not entirely true.
それは完全には正しくないね。
That's not entirely true.
That's not entirely true.
That's not entirely true.
That's not your fault.
君のせいじゃないよ。
That's not your fault.
That's not your fault.
That's not your fault.
That's a tough decision.
難しい判断だね。
That's a tough decision.
Tough decision.
It's a tough decision.
That's not helping either.
それも役に立ってないね。
Hey, you know what? That's not helping either.
That's not helping me either.
And that's not helping either.
Let's take another route.
別の道を取ろ
Let's take another.
Oh, let me take another.
So let's take another vote.
No,
this
we
time,
Let's not overdo it.
う。やりすぎないようにしよ
Let's not overdo it.
Let's not overdo it.
Let's not overdo it, Mom.
That's pretty common.
う。よくあることだね。
That's pretty common knowledge.
It's a pretty common one.
It's pretty common.
Let's stay on topic.
話をそらさないように。
Let's just stay on topic.
Stay on topic.
On topic.
That's up to you.
それは君次第だよ。
That's up to you.
That's up to you.
That's up to you.
Let's not get sidetracked.
脱線しないようにしよ
Get sidetracked.
Not get sidetracked by all.
It's a masterpiece. And let's not get sidetracked.
That's not going anywhere.
う。それは進展しないね。
I'm not going anywhere.
That whale's not going anywhere. And that's not going anywhere.
That came out wrong.
言い方がまずかったね。
That came out wrong. That came out very wrong.
That came out wrong.
Came out wrong.
Let's keep it low key.
控えめにしておこ
Keep it low key.
I'll keep it low key.
So, but let's keep it low key, shall we?
Let's not take it personally.
う。個人的に受け取らないように。
So let's not make it personal.
Personal? Don't take it personally.
Try not to take it personally.
That's hard to believe.
信じがたいね。
That's hard to believe. That's hard to believe.
That's hard to believe.
That's too risky.
リスクが高すぎる。
YPD.
No, that's too
Pause.
Too risky.
Too risky.
Let's be realistic.
現実的になろ
Let's be realistic.
Let's be realistic.
Realistic.
Francis, let's be realistic.
That's not ideal.
う。それは理想的じゃないね。
No, that's not ideal.
Oh, that's not ideal.
That's not ideal.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
先走らないようにしよ
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
That's one way to put it.
う。そういう言い方もあるね。
That's one way to put it.
That's one way to put it.
Let's call it a day.
今日はここまでにしよ
解散にしようか。
Let's call it a day. Let's not. Let's call it a day.
Let's agree to disagree.
う。意見の相違ってことで。
Let's agree to disagree. Let's agree to disagree. Let's agree to disagree.
That's not the issue.
それが問題じゃないよ。
That's the issue. That's not the issue.
That's not the issue.
That's not the issue.
Let's play it by ear.
臨機応変に行こ
Let's play it by ear.
You're right. Let's play it by ear.
That's cutting it close.
う。ギリギリだね。
It's cutting it close.
That's cutting it close.
Well, that's cutting it close.
Let's not make it a thing.
大ごとにしないようにしよ
Let's not make this a thing.
Let's not make this a thing.
Understood.
can't make a big thing about this.
It's a huge thing.
Let's go back to basics.
基本に立ち返ろ
Let's go back to basics.
Back to basics. Maybe we go back to basics.
That's not my call.
う。それは僕の判断じゃない。
That's not my call, Groton.
But that's not my call. But that's not my call.
Let's move forward.
前に進もう。
Let's move forward.
Forward. Well,
Let's move forward.
That's a stretch.
ちょっと無理があるね。
that's a stretch.
A stretch.
His butt could eat. Oh, that's a stretch?
Let's take it slow.
ゆっくり行こ
Let's take it slow.
Just kidding. Let's take it slow.
Let's take it slow.
Let's figure this out.
う。これを解決しよ
Let's figure this out.
Let's figure this out.
Let me figure this out.
That's how it goes.
う。そういうもんだよ。
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Let's keep moving.
進み続けよ
Let's keep moving.
Let's keep moving.
Let's keep moving.
That's not the worst.
う。最悪ってわけじゃないね。
That's not the worst part.
Well, that's not the worst part.
What is the worst part?
Well, that's not the worst of it. I think.
Let's take a break.
休憩しよ
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
That's one way to see it.
う。そういう見方もあるね。
That's a way to see it. That's one way to put it.
¡Qué hermosura!
That's beside the point.
それは本題じゃないよ。
That's beside the point.
That's besides the point. That's beside the point.
Let's keep it fair.
公正にしよ
Let's keep it.
Let's keep it.
Let's keep it.
That's not what I asked.
う。聞いたのはそれじゃないよ。
That's not what I asked.
It's not what I asked.
That's not what I asked.
Let's be honest.
正直になろ
Let's be honest.
Let's be honest without.
Let's be honest.
That's a bit much.
う。ちょっとやりすぎ。
That's a bit much.
Oh, that's a bit much.
That's a bit much.
Let's take turns.
交代しよ
Let's take turns.
Okay, let's take turns speaking.
That's not up to me.
う。それは僕の判断じゃない。
It's not up to me.
That's not up to me.
That's not up to me.
Let's keep things civil.
穏便に行こ
Okay, let's keep it civil.
Ladies, please, let's keep this civil.
Okay, fellas, let's keep it civil.
Let's check again.
う。もう一度確認しよ
And let's check again.
Let's check again.
Let me check again.
That's your call.
う。君の判断だよ。
It's your call.
That's your call.
That's your call.
Let's be clear.
はっきりさせよ
Let's be clear.
Try and read you.
Let's be clear.
Let's be clear.
That's not an excuse.
言い訳にはならない。
That's not an excuse. There's never an excuse. Not an excuse.
Let's finish this up.
これを終わらせよ
Let's go finish this up.
Finish the sucker up!
You get.
Let's finish this.
Let's not overreact.
う。大げさにしないように。
Let's not overreact.
Let's not overreact.
Oh, let's not overreact.
That's your choice.
それは君の選択だよ。
That's your choice.
That's your choice. That's your choice.
That's still unclear.
まだはっきりしないね。
Is still unclear.
It's still unclear.
Something is still unclear.
Let's be respectful.
敬意を持って接しよう。
Let's be respectful.
Let's be respectful.
Let's be respectful.
Let's look at the facts.
事実を見よ
Let's just look at the facts.
Look at the facts here.
Let's look at the facts.
That's way too early.
う。早すぎるよ。
It was way too early. I got here way too early. I got here way too early.
That's not necessary.
それは必要ないよ。
It's not necessary.
That's not necessary. That's not necessary.
Let's try another way.
別の方法を試そう。
Let me try it another way.
Let's try another.
That's up for debate.
それは議論の余地がある。
Well, that's up for debate.
That's up for debate.
So that's up for debate.
That's a tricky question.
難しい質問だね。
That's a tricky question.
This is a really tricky question.
Well, that's a tricky question.
Let's talk it through.
ちゃんと話し合おう。
We'll let you talk it through.
Let's talk this through!
Well, let's talk it through. That's what partners.
Let's test it out.
試してみよ
Why? Let's test it out. Let's test it out.
Oh, test it out.
Let's take it seriously.
う。真剣に受け止めよ
Come on, you guys. Now, take it seriously.
Taking it seriously.
Let's stay focused.
う。集中しよ
Stay focused. Stay focused. Stay focused.
That's not how I see it.
う。そうは思わないな。
That's not how I see it.
That's not how I see it.
That is not how I see it.
Let's ask for help.
助けを求めよ
Ask for help.
Ask for help.
And ask for help.
That's part of the job.
う。それも仕事のうちだね。
It's part of the job.
That's part of the job.
That's part of the job.
Let's double check it.
念のため確認しよ
Let me double check.
Right? Okay, let's double check.
Double check it.
Let's take responsibility.
う。責任を持と
Take responsibility.
Take responsibility.
Take responsibility.
That's too specific.
う。細かすぎるね。
That's too specific. Ugh.
The focus might be too specific.
No. Is that too specific for a lie?
That's not a solution.
それは解決策じゃない。
No, it is.
That is not a solution.
Look, that's not a solution.
Let's give it time.
時間をかけよ
Give it time.
Give it time.
Give it time.
That's what I thought.
う。そう思ってたよ。
That's what I thought.
So hold on a second.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought.
Let's not get emotional.
感情的にならないようにしよ
So let's not get emotional.
Let's not get emotional here. There's no.
Tracy, let's not get emotional.
That's beyond our control.
う。それは僕たちの手に負えない。
It's beyond our control.
Circumstance beyond our control.
Some things are beyond our control.
Let's start from scratch.
ゼロから始めよ
We can start from scratch.
Let's toss this away. Let's start from.
Let's start from scratch, all right?
That's up to them.
う。それはあの人たち次第だ。
That's up to them.
That's up to them.
That is up to them.
Let's rethink this.
考え直そう。
Let me rethink this.
Everything. Put you down.
Come on, Hugo.
That's not the end.
それが終わりじゃないよ。
That's not the end.
That's not the end.
That's not the end.
Let's not take sides.
どっちかに偏らないように。
Take sides.
Take sides.
I cannot take sides.
That's just a guess.
それはただの推測だよ。
Just a guess.
Just a guess?
Just guessing.
Let's not ignore it.
無視しないようにしよ
Whatever, let's just ignore it.
We can't just ignore.
Ignore it.
Ignore it.
That's not the answer.
う。それが答えじゃないね。
That's not the answer.
That's not the answer.
That's not the answer.
Let's go step by step.
一歩ずつ進めよ
Step by step.
That's way too soon.
う。それは早すぎるよ。
Way too soon.
No, that's way too soon.
It's too soon. It's way too soon.
Let's be more specific.
もっと具体的にしよ
Let me be more specific.
Let me be more specific.
Then let's be more specific.
That's a long shot.
う。それは望み薄だね。
Long shot.
Isn't that a long shot?
That's a long shot.
That's not realistic.
それは現実的じゃない。
That's not realistic, Max.
Liars! Oh, come on! That's not real. That's stupid, and it's not realistic.
That's completely different.
それは全然違うね。
That's completely different.
That's completely different.
That's completely different.
Let's not get distracted.
気をそらさないように。
But let's not get distracted.
So let's not get distracted.
Let's not get distracted. We got some work to do.
That's what matters.
それが大事だよ。
Basically, that's what matters.
Ooh, that's what matters.
That's what matters. No.
That's worth considering.
検討する価値があるね。
Considering next up.
Worth considering.
It's worth considering.
Let's not be hasty.
焦らないようにしよ
Let's not be hasty.
Well, let's not be hasty.
That's not quite enough.
う。それじゃちょっと足りない。
Nowadays, that's not quite enough.
Not quite enough.
And it's quite enough.
That's hard to define.
定義が難しいね。
Harder to find.
Lately something's changed, it ain't hard to define. Lately something's changed, it ain't hard to.
Let's take a chance.
挑戦してみよ
Let's not take a chance.
Take a chance.
Let's take a chance on Army.
Let's be cautious.
う。慎重に行こ
Be cautious. Be cautious. So, be cautious.
That's not helpful.
う。それは役に立たないよ。
Not helpful.
Well, then we.
It's not helpful.
Let's make it count.
意味のあるものにしよ
Let's make it count.
Let's make it count. Let's make it count.
That's not for everyone.
う。それは誰にでも向いてるわけじゃない。
That's not for everyone.
Not for everyone.
Not for everyone.
That's not the goal.
それが目的じゃない。
That's not the goal.
Oh, that's the goal.
Well, that's the goal.
Let's take a different route.
違うルートを行こ
Taking a different route.
There, we're just taking a different route.
Let's go different route.
That's too optimistic.
う。楽観的すぎるね。
Too optimistic.
Oh, it's too optimistic.
Optimistic.
Let's move with purpose.
意図を持って動こ
So let's move with purpose.
All right, let's move with a purpose. AK, get upstairs. I want you on hologram.
With a purpose.
Let's not complicate it.
う。ややこしくしないように。
It's not complicated. It's not complicated.
It's not complicated.
Let's be consistent.
一貫性を持と
That is like, let's just, let's be consistent. Consistent.
That's only part of it.
う。それは一部に過ぎない。
That's only part of it, Ellie. But that was only part of it, right?
I realized that was only part of it.
Let's stay open-minded.
柔軟に考えよ
Just try to stay open-minded.
Open mind.
Open mind.
That's not a good sign.
う。良くない兆候だね。
It's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign.
Shit, it's not a good sign.
That's still up in the air.
まだ未定だね。
It's still up in the air.
No, it's still up in the air.
Up in the air.
That's what worries me.
それが心配なんだよ。
That's what worries me.
That's what worries me.
That's what worries me.
That's not how this works.
そういう仕組みじゃない。
That's not how this works.
That's not how this works.
That's not how this works.
Let's start fresh.
新しく始めよ
So, let's start fresh?
I'm sorry. Let's start fresh.
I'm sorry. Let's start fresh.
Let's not give up now.
今は諦めないで。
Give up now.
Give up now!
Wait, let's not give up so easily.
That's the whole point.
それが肝心なんだよ。
Whole point, Jeffrey. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
That's too much pressure.
プレッシャーが強すぎる。
That's too much pressure.
Too much. Too much pressure.
Too much pressure.
Let's see how it goes.
様子を見よ
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes.
That's my concern too.
う。それは僕も気になってた。
I'm concerned too.
That is my concern.
That's my concern.
That's how mistakes happen.
そうやってミスが起きるんだ。
Mistakes happen.
Mistakes happen.
Yeah, well, that's how it happened.
Let's take it from here.
ここから始めよう。
Let us take it from here.
You let us take it from here.
Mom, let him take it from here.
Let's avoid that trap.
その罠は避けよ
To avoid a trap.
Okay, so let's avoid that.
So avoid that.
That's going to be tough.
う。それは大変になりそう
That's gonna be tough.
Might be tough.
Well, I mean, that's going to be tough.
Let's take it one step at a time.
一歩ずつ進めよ
Let's take this one step at a time.
Let's take this one step at a time.
Let's take this one step at a time.
That's where we disagree.
う。そこが意見の違いだね。
That is where we disagree.
Well, that's where we disagree.
Right, and that's where we disagreed with the...
Let's not fall behind.
遅れないようにしよ
Let's not fall behind, America. Fall in behind.
Let's avoid confusion.
う。混乱を避けよ
Only to avoid confusion, Mother.
Should call you motherfucker over Jones to avoid confusion, right? Should call you motherfucker over Jones to avoid confusion, right?
That's completely fair.
う。それは全く妥当だね。
That's completely fair.
I don't think that's completely fair.
And you!
That is completely fair. Oh my God.
That's not productive.
それは生産的じゃない。
Productive.
Productive.
Let's get started.
始めよ
Let's get started.
Let's get started.
Let's get started.
Let's make that happen.
う。それを実現しよ
Let's make that happen.
Well, let's make that happen.
Let's make that happen.
That's not entirely wrong.
う。完全に間違ってるわけじゃない。
He's not entirely wrong. That came out entirely wrong.
Not entirely.
That's only temporary.
それは一時的なものだよ。
Well, that's only temporary.
That's okay. It's only temporary.
Let's finish what we started.
始めたことを終わらせよ
Let's finish what we started.
Let's finish what we started.
Let's finish what we started.
Let's not forget that.
それを忘れないようにしよ
Let's not forget that.
Let's not forget that.
Let us not forget that.
That's just your opinion.
う。それは君の意見だね。
It's just your opinion.
Maybe it's
Well, that's just your opinion, Death.
It's just my opinion.
Let's give it a try.
やってみよ
Let's give it a try.
Let's give it a try.
Let's give it a try.
That's not going unnoticed.
う。それは見過ごされてないよ。
Do not go unnoticed.
It has not gone unnoticed. That hasn't gone unnoticed.
Let's break it down.
分解して考えよ
Let's break it down. Let's break it down.
Let's break it down.
That's not the priority.
う。それは優先事項じゃない。
not the priority.
Priorities.
Priority!
That's a lot to unpack.
整理することが多いね。
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
A lot to unpack there. To unpack there.
Let's face the facts.
現実を見よ
But let's face the facts.
Folks, let's face facts.
Come on. Let's face the facts.
Let's not skip steps.
う。手順を飛ばさないように。
Let's not skip steps.
We skip steps.
I'm all about not skipping steps.
That's hard to justify.
説明がつきにくいね。
Noticeably large deduction that's hard to justify.
It's already so hard to justify.
Let's push through it.
乗り越えよ
So I'll push it through.
Through it. You'll thank me when you... Push it through!
That's not up for debate.
う。それは議論の余地がない。
And that's not up for debate.
Not up for debate. This is...
Well, it's up for debate.
Let's not jump the gun.
フライングしないように。
Let's not jump the gun.
Simho, let's not jump the gun.
Well, let's not jump the gun.
That's not my responsibility.
それは僕の責任じゃないよ。
That's not my responsibility.
Not my responsibility?
Not my responsibility.
That's not going to be easy.
それは簡単じゃないよ。
Well, that's not going to be easy.
Well, that's not going to be easy.
That's not going to be easy, Kenneth.
Let's try a new approach.
新しいやり方を試そう。
Let's try a new approach.
I was trying a new approach.
New approaches.
That's something to keep in mind.
それは覚えておいた方がいい。
Something to keep in mind.
I take something to keep in mind.
Baby, something to keep in mind.
That's not our call to make.
それは僕たちが決めることじゃない。
That is not our call to make.
It's our call to make.
That's not your call to make, Parole.
That's open to interpretation.
それはいろんな解釈ができるね。
Open to interpretation.
It's open to interpretation.
Yes. Open to interpretation.
Let's not let this slide.
これをうやむやにしないようにしよ
I'll let this slide.
I let it slide.
I let it slide.
That's not entirely clear.
う。それは完全には明確じゃない。
It's not entirely
It's not entirely clear to me.
Not entirely.
Let's focus on the outcome.
結果に集中しよ
Let's focus on that.
Let's focus on that.
Let's focus on that.
Let's aim for clarity.
う。明確さを目指そう。
For clarity?
For clarity.
Found clarity.
That's not worth the trouble.
そこまで苦労する価値はない。
Not worth the trouble.
Totally not worth the trouble.
And it's not worth the trouble.
Let's get on the same page.
認識を合わせよ
The same page.
Getting on the same page. On the same page.
Let's be patient.
う。我慢強くいこ
For once, let me be patient zero.
Be patient.
Be patient.
Let's make a decision.
う。決断しよ
Clark, let's make a decision.
Carla, let Turk make a decision.
Dad, let's just make a decision.
That's not our priority.
う。それは優先事項じゃない。
It's not our priority. Wait. So our priority.
This is our priority.
Let's keep this brief.
手短にしよ
So, I'll keep this brief.
So let's try to keep things brief.
I'm going to keep this brief.
That's too vague.
う。それは曖昧すぎる。
But she says that's too vague.
Again.
That's too vague! Hold up! You know what?
Let's make it work.
なんとかしよ
Let's make it work.
Let's give it a shot. Let's make it work.
Let's make it work!
No! No, I'm not going to make it.
That's worth a shot.
う。試してみる価値はある。
Worth a shot.
Worth a shot.
Worth a shot.
Let's bring this home.
これを成功させよ
Bring that bad
Let's bring them home.
Let's bring him home.
That's part of the deal.
う。それも含まれてるよ。
That's part of the deal. That wasn't part of the deal.
What a deal.
That's one way to do it.
そういうやり方もあるね。
That's one way to do it. Huh. That's one way to do it.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Let's revisit the basics.
基本を見直そう。
Revisit it.
Let's revisit the last time you experienced a trigger. Basic.
That's not what we agreed on.
それは合意した内容じゃない。
That's not what we agreed upon.
That's what we agreed on.
It's not what we agreed on.
What did she say?
Let's put that behind us.
その話は水に流そう。
Let's put this behind us.
Let's just put that behind us.
Let's put the past behind us.
Let's keep it professional.
プロらしくいこ
Keep it professional.
Keep it professional.
Keep it professional.
That's not how we do things.
う。それはうちのやり方じゃない。
That's not how we do things.
No, That's not how we do things here.
That's not how we do things here.
Let's pick it up tomorrow.
明日続きをやろ
Tomorrow, take it to room.
Dang, let's pick this up tomorrow.
So, let's pick this up tomorrow.
That's where we stand.
う。今の立場はそういうことだ。
Where we stand?
Ski. And that's where we stand.
Where we stand.
Let's build on that.
それを土台にしよ
Let's build on that.
Building on that.
Built one.
Let's address that directly.
う。それに正面から向き合おう。
All respect, ma'am, I wouldn't address it directly.
That's right.
That's it.
Let's simplify it.
シンプルにしよ
Okay, so let's simplify.
Let me simplify it for you. Let me simplify it for you.
Let's focus on what we know.
う。わかってることに集中しよ
Okay. Well, let's focus on what we know.
Let's focus on what we can control.
Let's focus on that.
That's not the time for that.
う。今それを言うタイミングじゃない。
It's not the time for that!
But now is not the time for that.
For now, we will have to.
That's one possibility.
それも一つの可能性だね。
That's one possibility. That's one possibility.
But judging.
It is one possibility.
That's not going to change overnight.
それは一晩では変わらない。
But that's not going to change.
That's not going to change.
Not going to change.
I'm not.
Let's bring it back on track.
元の流れに戻そう。
To be back on track.
Back on track.
Back on track.
That's a good place to start.
そこから始めるといいね。
That's a good place to start.
Good place to start.
A good place to start.
Let's be thorough.
しっかりやろ
Okay, be thorough. Be thorough. Be thorough.
That's not our main concern.
う。それは今の主な関心じゃない。
She's in cardiogenic shock. That's our main concern.
That is not our concern.
I know it's not your main concern.
That's the trade-off.
それがトレードオフだね。
So that's the trade-off.
Good job.
Heck, that's a trade-off.
That's not aligned with our goals.
それは目標とずれてる。
Our goals.
Our goals?
Our goals.
Let's try to be objective.
客観的に行こ
I think I'd try to be objective.
Tonight, so let's try to be sensitive.
Mama, let's try to be positive.
Let's wrap things up.
う。締めに入ろ
Let's wrap things up, shall we? Let's wrap things up out there.
Still wrapping things up.
That's all we can do for now.
う。今できるのはそれだけ。
That's all we can do for now.
That's all we can do for
That is all we can do for now.
That's a bit too much.
それはちょっとやりすぎ。
It was a bit too much.
I mean, that's a bit too much.
Let's keep improving.
改善を続けよ
It forces us to keep improving.
Improv.
Improving.
Let's take the next step.
う。次の段階に進も
Let's take the next step.
Take the next step.
Next step.
That's what I was thinking.
う。自分もそう思ってたよ。
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
For me, with the
That's
farm.
Let's check in later.
また後で確認しよ
I'll check in later.
I'll check in later.
Check in later.
That's worth another look.
う。もう一度見てみる価値はある。
We'll
I guess that's worth a look.
Well, I guess that's worth a look.
Take another look. That's where we're headed.
そこに向かってるところだよ。
That's where we're heading.
That's where we're headed.
That's where we're heading.
Let's get this done.
これを終わらせよ
Get this done.
Let's get this done.
Let's get this done.
That's the idea.
う。その通り。
What's the idea?
The whole idea.
It's the idea.
Let's go with that.
それで行こ
Let's go with that.
Let's go with that.
That's more like it.
う。そうこなくっちゃ。
That's more like it.
It's more like it.
That's more like it.
That's what counts.
それが重要なんだ。
That's all that counts. That's what counts. What counts?
Yeah.
That's what counts.
That's a bit over the top.
ちょっとやりすぎだね。
Bit over the top.
It's a bit over the top. I can't work out. It's a bit over.
Let's put it into action.
それを実行に移そう。
Put into action.
And put it all into action.
And that night, he put it into action.
Let's not lose sight.
見失わないようにしよ
Let's not lose sight of tradition.
Although, let's not lose sight of the
But let's not lose sight of the fact.
That's the big picture.
う。それが全体像だね。
Big picture.
That is not big picture.
Wrong! Because even
Let's try to stay positive.
前向きでいよう。
Try to stay positive.
Try to stay positive.
We're trying to stay positive.
That's how we improve.
そうやって成長するんだ。
that's how we improve ourselves.
How was improv?
And that's how you improve morale.
That's not how it works.
そういう仕組みじゃないよ。
That's not how it works. Forget how it works. That's not how it works.
It's not how it works.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
決めつけないように。
Let's not jump to conclusions.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
Let's not jump to conclusions.